By the way, if you're just tuning in, I have with me Norman Dreyfuss. He is the Executive Vice President of IDI Group Company and also the Commissioner for Montgomery County Planning Board. I'm your host, Todd DeBorwood, and you're listening to Salem Broadcast Network, AIM 1260, The Answer. Now, real quick, you have all these success stories. Is there any real estate deals that went bad?
Well,
or just
I had
clean record?
I had no. There's no such thing as a clean record. I think in the real estate business, the biggest success people can talk about is that they survived some sort of surprise recession that we used to have every 4 or 5 years, and now we have for extended periods. The last one, there's one in 1981 and one in 92, and then early 2000, and now this very, very long one from 2008 or 7 till now. But there was a period of time right before the 92 recession that I bought a piece of property I was going to develop as commercial, got the plans approved, had a building design, paid for all the drawings, and the commercial market just collapsed. And I had a lot of money invested in the project, so I converted it back to residential. We had to work with the neighborhood, and it took me several years to work my way out of it. But fortunately, in the end, I came out close to even. So that was my biggest sort of almost failure. And then in this recession, this last 2008, the projects that we were developing had all pretty much completed, so we were in pretty good shape, but the new projects couldn't get off the ground. So some of those are just starting up now or had to be abandoned. So that was a tough time, but it was only a small part of my career, thank goodness.
Mm-hmm. Any tips for our current listeners that are developers or looking to get into it, to go through a recession like what you did?
Well, my philosophy in this business has always been to look at the downside. What will happen if things go wrong? The upside always seems to take care of itself. You plan a project, and if it works the way you think, it takes care of itself. But when it doesn't work that way, you have to have an exit strategy or a plan B. So I'm always looking at new projects or projects that we've done and say, if this doesn't work, what do we do? And I think that's, to me, the key to success. You can't continually have successes without hitting some kind of rough spot, whether it's a market driven or a recession or something else. I kind of equate it to musical chairs. You know, when the music stops, you got to make sure you got a chair. So you always have to watch those chairs to make sure there's one under your rear.
Now, real quick, how do you think of the unthinkable? Like,
Well,
the stuff that you don't know that you don't know.
Well, my experience has been that every one of the recessions was caused by a different series of events that were not predicted, whether it was the oil crisis in the 70s, whether it was high interest rates in 1981, whether it was the savings and loan crisis in 92. And so even though the government constantly tries to anticipate what things they ought to do to prevent those kind of things, they never do. There's always something new that they didn't think about. So you just don't know when it's going to happen, and so you can't be extended too far. You shouldn't be producing a product that you haven't pre-sold a good amount of. So that is always a belief that as things are going well, it's going to continue that way, and so you extend yourself beyond what your potential, either financial capabilities or your staff capabilities are. And then if something changes, you really get caught. So you can take a significant amount of risk in the real estate business, but it should be somewhat measured to recognize that if something stops, you can survive and hopefully come out successful.